Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Mwaka. On the news this hour, President Muhammadu Buhari reveals plan for an all-inclusive growth, wealth creation and population expansion for Nigeria when he declared open the 25th session of the National Economic Summit Group, which continues for a second day. Federal Executive Council puts finishing touches to the 2020 draft budget at the extraordinary strategic meeting as the President expected to lay the bill before a joint session of the National Assembly today. And we are counting 8 days to go as the organised labour insists on its ultimatum for the immediate implementation of the new national minimum wage. Lunchtime Politics starts right now. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin with a statement from the Nigerian president of an all-inclusive growth for the country, especially those at the grassroots. Now, President Buhari believes that this will drive the needed growth to boost economic activities in sectors like the agricultural, manufacturing and education sectors. The president, who opened the 25th conference of the Nigeria Economic Summit, says his administration's policies will hinge on harnessing the nation's human capital for socio-economic development.
It's the 25th Nigeria Economic Summit. Unlike last year, where the theme focused on poverty to prosperity, the year 2019's theme focuses on changing gears. Again, top government officials and captains of industry gather at the Congress Hall to make the nation's abundant human resource of about 200 million contribute to socio-economic development.
The summit program has been structured to ensure effective participation as well as robust and impactful public-private dialogue. I'm confident that this engagement will be very rewarding and productive. The outcomes, I believe, will set Nigeria on the path of becoming a globally competitive economy consistent with the objective of the ERGP.
To get the nation's active population contribute to national development, however, suggestions are raised. One way to achieve this, according to speakers during a panel discussion, is to focus on the education sector and increase the participation of Nigerians at the grassroots in boosting agribusiness.
We need to find a way that the young, brilliant minds from across Nigeria, 2 from every state, and some get it because of achievements and all of that, create a club of 100, not political selections, who are able to contribute to the process of the ideas that we implement, but it's their life, and most of them are smart enough to contribute to it. Women, 50% of Nigerians' population are women. When you fly a plane with 1 engine that should be flying with 2, you're already disadvantaged.
And then it's time for the president to deliver his address.
Please sit down.
President Muhammadu Buhari identifies key sectors which he says will help deliver all-inclusive governance for all.
Our policies and programs must focus on promoting inclusivity and collective prosperity. This shift implies that the concept of having competitive free markets that focus on wealth creation alone will be replaced by those that propagate the creation of inclusive markets which provide citizens with opportunities that will lead to peaceful and prosperous lives.
For 2 days, discussions at this meeting will focus on improving the nation's economy. Experts are of the opinion that a synergy between the public and the private sector remains key to achieving this.
Well, for more perspectives on President Buhari's economic plan, the Vice President of the National Economic Summit Group, NESG, Mr. Ni Yusuf, joins us from our Abuja studios. A pleasure to have you on the program. We heard the President and where he talked about the policies and programs and how they must focus on inclusivity and propagate the creation of inclusive markets for the prosperity of the nation. I mean, how sustainable are the policies of the President?
All right, thank you. The finance minister yesterday at the summit highlighted 11 areas where the federal government would like to focus in the next few years. And I'll put those 11 areas within three buckets. The first one is around governance and the microeconomics, so talking about inflation, unemployment, etc. The second one speaks to physical infrastructure, your road, transportation, health, education, while the third is focused on physical security and food security. And so, in terms of the direction, those three areas, I think, are the areas to focus on, so that if we're laying the right foundation from physical infrastructure to social outcomes in terms of inclusion, if you're also focusing on agriculture to drive food sufficiency and physical security, and the overall macroeconomics framework and governance, I think that's the right direction. The challenge for us going forward, in my view, is really around execution. How much of this would we be able to execute? That is one. And the second challenge is also about pace. How fast would we be able to execute and move the nation forward? And I think the urgency is what the Economic Summit is talking about, that we now need to move in a very deliberate, fast, and urgent manner so that we can hopefully address the issues affecting the economy and get the Nigeria of our dream.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, because the ordinary man wants to see jobs, wants to see growth in some of the sectors that you've highlighted. So they're really wondering how deliberate is this shift, to the seat of world economic giant. I mean, this new agenda that can radically transform the status quo. So do you see us achieving much?
Yes, I'm an incurable optimist about the prospects of the country. And I think what gives me hope is the understanding, and which the president also spoke about yesterday, that two things need to happen. One is we need to make this a private sector-led growth. And second, it also needs to be inclusive. And inclusion means we're looking at both the rich and the poor. We're looking at people in the north and the south and in the west and in the east. And examples from history have shown that where we run an inclusive economy, where it is private sector-led, then we'll create jobs. We've seen that example in the banking industry. We've seen the example in the telecoms industry. And we're beginning to see that example in the ICT industry, where Nigerian youths are doing wonderful things and creating jobs. And so I'm very hopeful that if we walk our talk and create the enabling environment to allow the private sector to thrive, to allow private enterprises to bring in capital, to bring in knowledge, to bring in discipline, then we'll be able to achieve growth and achieve job creations in the six industry sectors where we're focused on at the summit.
We'd like to thank you,
Right, so
Mr.
we're
Ni
focused
Yusuf.
on...
I'd like to thank you for your thoughts at this time.